There is no person he will not use, and there is no language God will not speak. Every passerby could read the sign, for every passerby could read Hebrew, Latin, or Greek, the three great languages of the ancient world. Hebrew was the language of Israel, the language of religion; Latin, the language of the Romans, the language of law and government; and Greek, the language of Greece, the language of culture. Christ was declared king in them all. God had a message for each. Christ is king. The message was the same, but the languages were different. Since Jesus was a king for all people, the message would be in the tongues of all people. There is no language he will not speak, which leads us to a delightful question. What language is he speaking to you? I'm not referring to an idiom or dialect, but to the day-to-day drama of your life. God does speak, you know. He speaks to us in whatever language we will understand. There are times he speaks the language of abundance. Is your tummy full? Are your bills paid? Got a little jingle in your pocket? Don't be so proud of what you have that you miss what you need to hear. Could it be you have much so that you can give much? God can give you more blessings than you need. Then you will always have plenty of everything. Enough to give to every good work. 2 Corinthians 9:8. Is God talking in the language of abundance, or are you hearing the vernacular of want? We'd rather he spoke the language of abundance, but he doesn't always. May I share a time when God gave me a message using the grammar of need. The birth of our first child coincided with the cancellation of our health insurance. I still don't understand how it happened. It had to do with the company being based in the U.S. and Jenna being born in Brazil. Denalyn and I were left with the joy of an 8-pound baby girl and the burden of a $2,500 hospital bill. We settled the bill by draining a savings account. Thankful to be able to pay the debt, but bewildered by the insurance problem, I wondered, is God trying to tell us something? A few weeks later, the answer came. I spoke at a retreat for a small, happy church in Florida. A member of the congregation handed me an envelope and said, "This is for your family." Such gifts were not uncommon. We were accustomed to and grateful for these unsolicited donations, which usually amounted to $50 or $100. I expected the amount to be comparable, but when I opened the envelope, the check was for, you guessed it, $2,500. Through the language of need, God spoke to me. It was as if he said, "Max, I'm involved in your life. I will take care of you." Are you hearing the language of need? Or how about the language of affliction? Talk about an idiom we avoid. But you and I both know how clearly God speaks in hospital hallways and sickbeds. We know what David meant with the words, "He makes me to lie down." Psalms 23:2. Nothing seems to turn our ears toward heaven like a frail body. God speaks all languages, including yours. Has he not said, "I will teach you in the ways you should go"? Psalms 32:8. Are we not urged to receive instruction from his mouth? Job 22:22. What language is God speaking to you? And aren't you glad he is speaking? Aren't you grateful that he cares enough to talk? Isn't it good to know that the Lord tells his secrets to those who respect him? Psalms 25:14. My Uncle Carl was grateful that someone spoke to him. A childhood case of the measles left him unable to hear or speak. Nearly all his 60-plus years were lived in stony silence. Few people spoke his language. My father was one of them. Being the older brother, maybe he felt protective. After their father died, perhaps he felt he should take over. Whatever the reason, my dad learned sign language. Dad wasn't an avid student. He never finished high school, never went to college, never saw the need to learn Spanish or French, but he did take the time to learn the language of his brother. Let Dad enter the room, and Carl's face would brighten. The two would find a corner, and the hands would fly, and they would have a great time. And though I never heard Carl say thanks, he couldn't. His huge smile left no doubt that he was grateful. My dad had learned his language. Your father has learned to speak your language as well. It has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 13:11. Think a word of thanks to him would be appropriate. And while you're at it, ask him if you might be missing any signs he is sending your way. It's one thing to miss a message from your wife about cleaning up a room. It's something else entirely to miss one from God about the destiny of your life.